does hold moisture. It's no longer ventilated properly.
Well, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Different perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good point.
But, and then you don't take into account that the air we breathe is way contaminated. They didn't have chemtrails. We didn't have chemtrails back then.
And we didn't have that stuff come outgassing from our walls, whatever,
right.
All that new chemicals they put in all our products, right?
And the chemicals in water. And we're still producing new chemicals. And since World War II, 1,000 chemicals a year. New ones.
Plus, we're drug addicts.
Yeah.
I mean, well, America is what, 50%, 40% on meds? So we're all drug addicts too.
It's unbelievable.
It can't help, right?
And the food is all whacked up.
With genetically modified organisms.
Everything.
And then, of course, what about the fluoride in the water?
Right.
Oh, that's good for your teeth, though. It's good for your teeth.
The fluoride?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's 500 times more than they should be. They really want us to have white. You see, look at his teeth. He's got nice white teeth.
Right,
you do
gorgeous.
too.
Gorgeous. He's...
On mold, what is it that you do that the homeowners doesn't know what to do? In other words, there's some aspergillus or whatever you call it, stachybotrys or whatever it is, and there it is on the wall in the basement or first floor or in the ceiling or wherever it is.
Right.
What do you do? Because I know when you bother mold, you got a plume all over the place.
Right. Well, the first thing we do is contain it.
And how do you contain it?
And we put containment up in the room, and then we install.
Well, you isolate the
isolate the area, and
just like asbestos abatement.
Precisely.
Okay.
Exactly like asbestos abatement, and then you put an air scrubber in, and that air scrubber will take up the plume.
Oh, so you can't avoid creating a plume, but you...
Right. It's not that you wet the mold and there's no plume, because what do you do about the stuff behind the wall that you didn't see? So you have to put an air scrubber in.
Okay, and an air scrubber is
2,000 cubic feet a minute.
Through
HEPA filter.
A HEPA filter.
Right.
So you're sucking air and blowing it out the window or wherever.
You got to be careful about that blowing it out the window stuff.
Why?
Because when you're creating, if you go out the window with it, you're sucking the house. You're creating negative pressure in the house.
Yes, you are.
And so...
Huge.
Only set of problems.
Well, you don't know...
Oh, so you could be bringing it back in through the same infiltration
No, what he's saying is when you take a straw, it's like putting this huge monster straw in the window going... And when you do that, well, it's not magic air. So the new air got to come in. So now it comes shoving in through other spots.
Wherever it does.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so now it could actually be coming down the vents. And
the
now the water
fireplace,
heater has incomplete combustion. And, and he leaves the house. They stay in the house. His site's down in the basement. I do a lot of carbon dioxide poisoning cases.
I know you do.
And it's not. And there's some of these companies, these dewatering companies, that do this. They don't think about it. So they don't realize that they close the door to the basement. It's not louvered. They turn on the air scrubber, pumping 2,000 CFM. Think about that just for 1 minute.
Or more.
Yeah, and then there's a big hole. It's called a chimney. And it's connected to this thing called the water heater. And so little Lindsay is up in the bathroom, and Lindsay's like 18, so she takes a 20-minute shower. What the heck? So she's in the shower for 20 minutes. Mr. Joe, the water heater, kicks on, and he's like, oh my God, how's this going to work? Because all the air is coming, it can't compete because you need to have a 0.01 to .1 to .2 WC, water inch column, draft. And now you don't have it. So then the water heater's like, it's like choking the water heater, And so it comes back down, and now you're burning carbon dioxide, cause super high carbon monoxide.
Well,
you could have carbon dioxide poisoning.
Just a comment. I'm sure that Jim renders the water heater so it can't operate, and the furnace. I mean, that's just not going to happen with a company like Jim's. The homeowner, you're describing a incompetent situation.
What we prefer to do is not. We prefer to air scrub.
He doesn't blow it out the window.
We don't blow it out the window. We don't create negative
He
pressure.
closes the window.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he just scrubs the inside. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Right.
He moves the air, keeps the air, cleans the air, and gives it back to him. It's not like he's throwing the air out and saying, "New air, please come in." You know, it's different what he does.
Well, I haven't seen that before.
Then
I've always seen him evacuate
and then
the whole
there are
space.
special instances if there is
A vacant house.
a lot of mold in the vacant house. Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Well, instead of creating that negative pressure, what we'll do is we'll open the windows at the end of a house and we'll actually put filters in the windows.
Really?
And then we'll put air going out the other end of the house and we'll create a pass-through.
But that's a house that's vacant.
Right, and then we'll agitate it with it.
What kind of filter?
A MERV,
MERV?
we use MERV 10.
10?
And you said agitate it. You agitate. Now, the people have now moved out because it was a big problem. So we can do this now. They can't be in the house for what he's talking about.
Right.
And you said agitate. How do you agitate?
We use leaf blowers.
So you take leaf blowers.
Right.
You put the filter on. I'm not giving away. We're not giving a trade secret.
Whoops.
Was that a trade secret?
Pretty much.
Just cut it out. Take it off the tape.
Do you want me to cut it out?
I would.
I don't care.
All right.
You know,
But you know what?
No.
That's brilliant.
It is. I like that. Yeah.
So you agitate the house with leaf blowers, and that actually gets rid of all the contaminants, the dust, anything else that was in it.
Sure,
gone.
because it's toxic. The dust is all toxic. Once you've had a vacant house and the mold is in the air and it lands in the dust, dust is toxic.
Hey, let me ask you a question. This is crazy.
Right.
But when you're all done with your job, you go to the window and you take that filter. Is that filter ever dirty?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So
I can imagine.
So wait a minute. I always thought that the outside air was supposed to be the clean air. You know, when you do a mold test, you do two tests. You do one inside and you do one clean test outside.
Yep, you get a base. Yep.
Now where he's telling us that the clean air is really dirty.
Well,
how about if you live next to the freeway and 100,000 cars a day go by?
Oh.
How clean do you think the air is now?
People don't think about
that's a
that.
good point. When we do a CO CAS test, combustion appliance zone,
Right.
we always do the outside air to see, because the CO is carbon dioxide is about 300 parts per million, but we have to do it behind the house because the front of the house is way high because of the expressway.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
you can have 3, 4, 5, 10 parts per million, right? Carbon dioxide, or even more, right?
Carbon. I was talking about carbon dioxide.
Dioxide, not
monoxide. That's the problem with the cars,
Yeah.
because they yield carbon monoxide huge.
so this carbon dioxide. No, right.
Carbon dioxide is what I just breathed out.
Okay. All right, I got it.
And carbon monoxide, we're looking for a threshold of 9 parts per million. And when you get up that high, it is time to do something aggressive.
You can't have night. You can get low level carbon dioxide poisoning between 10 and 20 and 30, 40. And you know that carbon dioxide detector that you have that you bought at Home Depot with the 9-volt battery? That doesn't even go off until 77 or 80 parts per million after it's been exposed to it for 4 hours.
Well,
So you can be poisoned in a house with that carbon monoxide detector because it's not a low level carbon monoxide detector.
my tester is not a Home Depot, but I understand what you're saying.
They do sell low level carbon monoxide detectors.
Yep, they do. Like
they do now?
detectors and,
Yes, there's a couple companies that make them.
yeah.
It's one of my clients has that issue. She has a myriad of issues, but they detected carbon monoxide in her blood.
Really?
She was getting. Well, this is a great story. 2 years ago, I was at this house, and I tested. There was elevated levels. The insurance company sent somebody else in, and I didn't hear about her again. Marko called me a year ago. He said, "Hey, I think you've got to come over here." He says, "I'm going out to this house, and there's a sick lady here, and I'm going to go do a bunch of exploration." And I got to the house, and it was Nadia. And I went, "Nadia." Well, Nadia's now dressed in a suit and a mask because she's so sick from what's going on in the house that she's had to move out. And so Marko was out there doing these first phase exploratory to see why. Well, it's gone way down the road now. In fact, it's pending litigation now. But
well, she exposed all kind of new problems. I mean, she had a carbon dioxide problem caused by all kind of poor building conditions.
Right.
But then, because of all that, it just amplified to the next level. I mean, with the mold, improper vapor barriers. I mean, just
all of it.
The
no
builder,
swale.
I have a question.
and then even the permits were. I mean, it was just. She
Yeah.
investigated a house and just it went to a whole nother level.
Question.
And she doesn't live in a house anymore, right?
No. She moved out of the house. They're currently in a. They've actually moved twice because the next house she moved into had a leak.
But she's sensitized, though.
Very, but they.
She has like 5 children that were sick too. If I
Right.
remember that.
Right.
That was that was really serious. She had a whole family,
Marko.
not just her. I think they were all getting sick, right?
Except the husband.
Oh,
You know, he didn't get bothered.
He's
But the
probably
children.
drink scotch like me, you know.
But the children did.
I have a
See, you got
question.
to drink scotch. You won't be sensitized.
You do many inspections on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yes.
Friday next week. What prompted you to call Jim on this particular house?
Well, because when I got there, it wasn't just carbon monoxide. First of all, when I got there, she was dressed up. You know, she was wearing the mask. I mean, she was like Belinda. What's it?
Melinda Ballard.
Melinda Ballard. She looked like the new Melinda Ballard. I'm like, okay. And then I did see some problems with buildings, construction. I saw the interior. She had the interior vapor barrier behind a drywall. You know, that was going on.
How did you know that?
Because I saw it. I saw it in the basement, and then I took what I do is I screw the outlets when I do investigations. I look at a lot
so
of
you can
things,
see 'em, yeah.
so I pull it out and I could see it, you know. And then I found some mold, and then I called Jim, you know.
So mold was the trigger to call Jim.
Plus,
Okay.
Jim is very good at dealing with people who actually are sick. He has I don't know, how do you want to call it? You know how to talk to those people. And
A sixth sense.
a sixth sense to deal with people who are like freaked out and sick from mold. He knows exactly how to handle them and how to talk to them.
That's experience.
I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like,
that's
I'm a numbers guy. You know,
Yeah.
it's
But
just
you know,
like,
the truth of it is, I thought that it was just a few crazy old ladies that were affected, and it really wasn't a big deal until I had my surgery 8 years ago or 9 years ago. And when I had surgery and my body immune system got low, and I recovered great. I was working out and taking my vitamins and I go back to do inspections. In the first moldy house I walk into, I get whacked.
You were sensitized.
Right.
Yeah.
And I went, holy cow.
Yeah.
Now I know what all these people are talking about.
Oh.
So I got an enormous empathy for them because now I am one of them.
you know, we did it. You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
Jimmy had me go out. We had a client that was sick as a dog, and he had an idea from his interview what was already kind of wrong with the house. And he goes, Marko, we got to go out there. Let's check it out. You know, see what's. I think he already knew just from talking to it was a problem. And we get out there. As soon as we walk in the door, he's getting sick. He's like looking at me like this is it.
He's like a meter.
Of course. I actually walk in the door and I'm like, oh, water and ductwork. You know, because I my nose, doing this for 30 years, I could like just go, water and ductwork, small dog, male cat,
And smokers.
smokers once removed. Okay? And so sure enough, I look at Jim, I go, Jim, water and ducts. It was a slab house, your 1940s, 50s house. There were slabs, and they put the ducts under slabs, clay tile. It wasn't sealed and anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I got a great idea. So he cuts the plenum, cold air return, in the closet.
Yep.
He cuts it and looks down, and sure enough, you can see the clay pipe, 6 on this side,
Yep.
6 on this side. They go to all the rooms, and it's full of water, and the whole bottom is metal, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's the most disgusting thing that you've ever seen in your entire life.
And it's normal.
And we like, this is what's making you sick.
It is normal.
How did you fix that house?
We took the furnace. We flipped the furnace because we could. We flipped the furnace and poured concrete in all the ductwork, and we put the furnace overhead.
Perfect.
And now she has ice dams. But that's better than dying from the mold, right?
Exactly.
Did you?
It's the least expensive way to do it. The other way.
Did you? And so she's okay now.
Yeah.
So that's how you fix that house.
Right. The other way.
But I think they want to know how much that cost to do. I bet that was expensive.
It wasn't as expensive as waterproofing the foundation, because that was the other alternative. In order to keep the water out of there, you would have had to waterproof the foundation.
Yeah.
And if you waterproof the foundation and put an exterior sump, then you could get the water out of the pipes and dry it up and clean them, and that's the other way. But that was way more expensive than just flipping the furnace and running the...
And fill it with concrete.
Right.
Not to mention that that solution was permanent. The waterproofing the foundation could be breached.
Right.
Of course, and the water could still get in it.
Yep.
But you know what? I think also the ducts were so full of water and so much crap in them that you'd have to now clean the mold out. So it's easier just to fill it with concrete and be done with it, right?
And seal it off. Yeah. That's.
And she still lives in the house today.
She does.
And now she's okay.
Yeah.
Would she be calling if she wasn't okay?
You know,
right?
she's either that or she died.
It's amazing. There's always a lot of different ways how to fix a problem. You know.
I agree with you. And those ways should be not the responsibility of the homeowner. The homeowner needs to understand, I need to call a professional, period.
Yeah.
Because there may be 6 solutions. The homeowner would have no idea.
No.
The pro would.
But here's a problem. Which pro are you going to call? You can call. Here's your biggest problem today. Is like you need a furnace because you have a mold problem or a noise problem, or whatever problem. So you call the furnace guy, and the furnace guy's like, he knows about his furnace, the efficiency. We got to do this. We got to do that. We're going to do condense. Whatever. And then that's the furnace guy. The plumber guy, he knows his plumbing. Well, we can't use this kind of plumbing, and because if it gets exposed to ultraviolet, it fails, and he knows all his codes. And then you get the architect. Well, that doesn't look that good. It has to look good.
It's not pretty.
The space ain't right. And he like to put 2 things in the same space at the same time, right? Then the engineer's like, whoa, wait a minute. No, this is not going to work. Let me recalculate this for you, Then you got the roofer, and then you got the insulation guy. Then you got the home inspector. He's ashy. He's by the book, ashy, right? So you got all the cooks.
Yeah.
And the problem is the cooks don't talk to each other.
You know what?
They don't talk to each other. None of them.
That's why the Cleveland Indoor Environmental Group is around, because we have all of those guys in our group, and we can talk, and we can communicate. Well, it was a perfect example when we did the Holiday Inn project this year, Tom.
Yep.
I got this big problem. The pool is just made. It rains in the roof because the pool isn't insulated well enough.
The humidity from the evaporation.
Exactly. They fried the Dectron unit. It's not even working anymore.
There's a magical temperature that a pool has to be at, and if it's below that or above that, it's a problem.
You mean the water temperature?
The water temperature. So in his case, if the water temperature is too hot, you get the evaporation, but the pool isn't talking to the weather, and he has no clue, Mr. Pool, that it's wintertime and there's snow on the roof, right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the right system, conditioning, also dehumidification, right? What'd you call the system?
Dectron. Yeah.
And that's also, not only is it a pool temperature, it's also an air.
It's a dehumidifier.
For the air.
Huge.
So if that doesn't work, you're kind of like...
Right.
Not kind of.
You are.
Screwed. Yeah. And if you don't fix it right away, you've just ruined your building, right? Pretty much.
In a week.
You can ruin a building.
In a week, yeah.
So I immediately, had Tom come down. I met him in Vermilion, and we had Jack Anderson, our HVAC guy, out, and we had the insulation guys out, and we put together a plan. Jack repaired the Dectron and saved the Dectron, and Tom engineered a plan to insulate the roof properly, and we saved the whole project.
Wow.
And air distribution.
Yeah.
Pools are real, indoor pools. They're such a problem because most home architects, indoor pool, let's put one in the house, and they put it in, but they don't think about, well, here's the pool, here's the house. They can't talk to each other. Because once they do, you are so
You're
screwed. You almost have to have a separate airspace.
Not almost, you must.
That they're not. Yeah. And this space is its own conditioned space. So you have to have 3 conditioned spaces so they don't talk to each other. And this is like the intermediate one, which kind of screws up both a little bit, but it don't let the bad guy go to the good guy. Because when the bad guy goes to the good guy, it's over.
Well put. Well put. Very wealthy family in Detroit area.
Don't put pools in your house. How about that?
Well, basically, if you want to build a house and then you have an addition for a pool,
a separate building.
If it's connected, make sure it's separated.
Just completely. Move it up. Move it to the backyard.
Yeah. But they had a beautiful piece of property, 5 acres or whatever. Beautiful house with a connected pool. And they wouldn't isolate it like you suggested, and they had to demolish the entire house.